Okay. So, let's begin. All right. So this might be a short episode, but let's see where it goes. Hello, everyone. I wanted to read for you a list of quotes. I want to go into a quote tunnel, but then I wanted to speak about the human role in advancement and what some of the deepest metaphysical ideas on earth are. So here's a list of deep quotes, thought-provoking quotes from notable figures throughout history, reflecting deep insights into life, existence, and the human condition. Socrates. The unexamined life is not worth living. Plato. Reality is created by the mind. We can change our reality by changing our mind. Aristotle. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. René Descartes. I think, therefore I am. Immanuel Kant. Two things awe me the most: the starry sky above me and the moral law within me. Friedrich Nietzsche. He who has a why to live for can bear almost anyhow. Albert Einstein, reality is merely an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. Carl Jung, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Okay, man, I'm struggling to find the right song. Whatever. Dear listeners, what I'm doing is before I enter into the my own explanation of the human role in cosmic advancement, I wanted to share some quotes from human beings that have reached the epitome of their fields. That means, if we could say every human life can be, put into a sentence, it's as if like how incredible that sentence is. It's suggesting the incredible life that was lived to reach that sentence. So I guess I'll do something interesting, something I haven't. you know, I've spoken these talks, but I haven't really talked about that often about how to listen to these. So, based on what is your deepest question, you find excitement, you find interest. If there's a problem you're trying to solve, and somebody else is trying to solve it, that's like something interesting to listen to, right? The problem that I'm trying to solve is the problem of what is the value of an existential organism in a setting where it has probabilities and potentials of livelihood. So, really, these episodes of mine would be interesting for viewers if you actually cared to attempt to answer the question of what does the future of humanity look like. Then, when you listen to me talking, it's going to be a different context, right? Because the future is like infinite probabilities, and I'm just one person who's began to speak about some probabilities. There's a list of important quotes I want to read for you right now to give you a sense of the different types of human beings that have lived and what sort of inner eyes have they, you know, landed on the earth. Or better said, discovered on the earth. Lao Tzu says the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. Confucius says it does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. Rumi, the wound is the place where the light enters you. You know, guys, maybe I should comment on each of these. Yeah, I should have probably done that from the beginning. Okay. I'll do a quick... Okay, let me see if I could just summarize a bunch of quotes right now. Socrates, the unexamined life is not worth living. That means pay attention to your life. Plato, reality is created by the mind. We can change our reality by changing our mind. Plato saying you're in control. Aristotle, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. That means start from the start. Aristotle saying get to know who's driving this vehicle of your life. Rene Descartes, I think, therefore I am. Because I am conscious of the subjective position of reality, I can objectively verify it. Immanuel Kant, two things awe me the most: the starry sky above me and the moral law within me. This dude's pretty much saying, yo, just as mysterious it is, this endless sky, you know, filled with stars, this vast cosmic manifestation, it is also as fascinating to me what really adjusts the human behavior. When Immanuel Kant says the moral law within me, that moral law within the individual is based on the experience of the individual, but there is also the consideration of a universal moral law. Our species has not tapped into that yet. Why, you may ask? Because we don't have the perspective of universal organisms. Like, think about it. Imagine an advanced extraterrestrial was using a telescope, you know, and was looking at us on Earth. It would suddenly see human beings still are identifying with land, with symbolism, right? People, like, there's racist people on the planet. Do you know how underdeveloped our Earth is when that's the case? Do you understand? People have an issue with how other human beings look. Imagine an alien landed. You know, that person's mind would explode, right? So it's we've reached this position where it's very important to realize that the human being needs a stronger will to usher it forth into its stronger future. Anyways, Friedrich Nietzsche, he who has a why to live for can bear almost anyhow. That means if the why is important, that means, let's say somebody wants to climb Mount Everest. You know, they're saying why? They're like, because it was my father's dream, right? And the guy's climbing, and the guy goes through horrific situations of how am I going to get up there, right? But because the reason, the purpose behind the reason is stronger than how to reach. Do you understand? That means the destination is more important than the journey, so the journey must be done. So you don't stop, you know? Einstein says reality is merely an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. That means we are part of the illusion. Carl Jung says, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Unless you try to know what you don't know, the factors that you don't know or unaware of will influence you. Lao Tzu says the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. There's a modern saying that says one day or day one. We go to Confucius. It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. That means continue, you will reach your destination. Rumi, the wound is the place where the light enters you. What shakes you in life changes you from the archetype that you were associating with. So when life suddenly changes, who we are suddenly changes, you know? Mahatma Gandhi, be the change you wish to see in the world. That means be the advancement of your civilization. That means you, yes, you who is listening to this lecture right now, you are the immediate factor of change of your life. Martin Luther King Jr. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. If I was to discriminate between love and hate, hate is what you cannot accept. Love is what you have accepted. Once you accept something, that means you live for its presence on some level. Rabindranath Tagore. Faith is the bird that feels the light when the dawn is still dark. This is one of the most motivational sentences. I spoke about it years ago, but really, it's what's kind of kept me going. So, what does it mean, faith is the bird that feels the light when the dawn is still dark? It means there will come moments in life where unknown factors and variables in the moment will make it impossible to know, for the known variables to kind of visualize what will happen. What it means is in the darkest moment of night, the bird suddenly feels the warmth of the sun. So your faith in this world should be a faith that expects the greatest after the worst. What it means is you update or upgrade. Simone de Beauvoir. One is not born, but rather becomes a woman. It's the same thing for a man, it's an archetype. You don't identify with the archetype until the intensity of life hits you, and then Tony Stark realizes he's not just wearing an Iron Man suit, he is Iron Man. Albert Camus, in the depth of winter, I finally learned that within me there lay an invincible summer. Virginia Woolf. As a woman, I have no country. As a woman, I want no country. As a woman, my country is the whole world. Blaise Pascal. Okay, I forgot I was to comment on these. Albert Camus, that means in the hardest moment, I found the greatest strength. Virginia Woolf, the archetype of a woman is a universal archetype. Blaise Pascal, the heart has its reasons, which reason knows not. Wow. Jean-Paul Sartre, freedom is what you do with what's been done to you. That means whatever you've experienced, use it. Leo Tolstoy, everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing himself. You want to change the world, start from yourself. Soren Kierkegaard, life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. That means we use the past to give the present meaning, but really, whatever meaning we give to the present, because it's going to the future, like there has to come like the free will with a sort of trust factor with the information of the present. Marie Curie, nothing in life is to be feared. It is only to be understood. Now is the time to understand more so that we may fear less. What does she mean here? This incredible scientist is saying, yo, don't fear anything in life. Understand it. Your fears are pretty much what you've stopped understanding. What you've stopped to understand, right? Or you're trying to avoid on some level. So understand your fears, and they are no longer fears, they are your understandings, Winston Churchill, success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. William Shakespeare, we know what we are, but know not what we may be. Exactly. Wow. Helen Keller, the best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. Maya Angelou, we may encounter many defeats, but we must not be defeated. Fyodor Dostoevsky, the mystery of human existence lies not in just staying alive, but in finding something to live for. Marcus Aurelius, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Nelson Mandela, it always seems impossible until it's done. This next quote is from someone who I dislike and don't want to read his quote anymore. Oscar Wilde. To live is the rarest thing. Okay, so guys, the quote was from the Dalai Lama. I dislike the Dalai Lama. I no longer consider him the way I used to. So, anyways, I'll read the quote, but I don't like the person. Happiness is not something ready-made. It comes from your own actions. Oscar Wilde. To live is the rarest thing in the world. Most people exist, that is all. Emily Dickinson. Forever is composed of nows. That means what we think is forever is a repeating now. Khalil Gibran. Your pain is the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding. So anyways, the human role in cosmic advancement. The ideal would be, now I'm going to kind of go into my own talk here. So you see, when I think of the idea, when I consider the notion of cosmic advancement, I used to think that the cosmos was a place, but it has come to my attention that it is an event. So reality is dynamic. So the cosmic advancement, it's another way of saying how advanced is this event, which we call the world happening. Now, cosmic advancement means that we're saying, all right, there's this thing called the cosmos, and it advances. Now, where we're starting from is we're saying we can't see the whole cosmos, our technology limits us, but we have access to being a part of the cosmos. That means if the whole system advances, we will feel it. So cosmic advancement would be trying to get an idea of the cosmos, then trying to see all the dimensions that constitute the cosmos, and then considering how the human life has an influence on these dimensions advancing. It could be that we are in symbiosis with potentially a higher life form that surpasses physical form, and this higher life form is in a symbiosis with us, meaning that it, I don't want to say it feeds on our thoughts, but I want to say that it's like the body is serving the world, the mind is excuse me, the body is serving matter, the mind is pretty much, okay, the body is what does matter do with itself, the mind is what does space do with itself, what does the awareness that moves matter through space do with itself. So let's go over, I'd kind of created two lists here. Some of the deepest metaphysical ideas on earth. The nature of existence. What does it mean to exist? This includes discussions on being and nothingness, the essence of reality, and whether existence is fundamentally mental or physical. This means one of the deepest ideas okay, ever, is the idea of like, okay, what is the nature of existence? Which means, how does existence happen? Okay, and is it fundamentally mental or physical? The human being is like in the middle of a doorway, you know? It just needs to realize it's a revolving door. That means you can be physical, you can be non physical, but there's a relationship between the two. The next deep metaphysical idea is the nature of consciousness. What is consciousness? Philosophers and scientists ponder over whether consciousness is a product of the brain or a separate non-material entity. This ties into discussions about mind-body dualism and materialism. So my personal view is that the mind is beyond the body. Because if I was to ask who owns your body, it would be an activity of your mind that would be the response. The next deep idea is the concept of God and the divine. Various philosophical and religious traditions explore the existence and nature of a higher power or divine principle. This encompasses ideas about God's attributes, such as omnipotence, omniscience, and benevolence, and debates over theism, atheism, and agnosticism. So theism is like, yo, God is here. Atheism is God isn't here. Agnosticism is I don't know. I can't know. Or not I can't know, I don't know. Free will and determinism is the next idea. So the next deep idea is the question of whether humans have free will or if everything is predetermined by prior causes. This includes discussions on moral responsibility and the nature of human decision making. The next deep idea is the nature of time and space. Philosophical inquiries into whether time and space are real entities or mere constructs of the human mind. This includes theories of time travel, the nature of the universe, and the concept of multiple dimensions. Guys, it would make sense that if we are part of the cosmic room, we can change the experience of the room. So there could be this in the future, they realize human beings are not creatures in time, they are time itself. Then we go to the next deep idea, the problem of identity and self. Questions about what constitutes the self and how it persists over time. This includes thoughts on personal identity, the soul, and what it means to be the same person over time. So yes, this is the whole yogic ordeal. Who am I? The I is not a who. The awareness to how you're being an identity of yourself, that awareness is not an individuated self. It's more like a presence of reality, being a momentary being. The next deep idea is the idea of the ultimate reality. This involves discussions about whether there is an underlying unchanging reality beneath the changing phenomena of the world. It includes ideas from Eastern philosophies like Brahman in Hinduism, Sunyata in Buddhism, and the Tao in Taoism. So, metaphysical paradoxes and thought experiments. These are tools used to explore and question our understanding of reality, such as Schrodinger's cat, the ship of Theseus, and the brain in a vat hypothesis. Schrodinger's cat is like, yo, if I took a gun and I wanted to shoot a cat in a box, like if somebody told me there's a cat in the box, I wouldn't know if, let's say if I shoot a cat in the box, it's like, because we don't know what happened in the box, it's like the cat could be alive and the cat could be dead, so two realities exist. The brain in the vat is the idea that the whole reality is a simulation and our brain is in some sort of like container in another dimension. And then we have the ship of Theseus. So so the ship of Theseus is this idea that, imagine there is a ship on the ocean and every piece of wood in the ship is being replaced with a new one. So the idea is, if I have a ship, okay, and I change all the pieces of this ship, right, and the ship is still on water, right, so is it the same ship or is it a different ship? It's like, is the butterfly an advanced caterpillar, or is the butterfly a butterfly, you know, a new butterfly, a new entity? Something has authorized the existence of a self in a world. We are that self. And please, dear humanity, dear human species, as surreal as it may sound, but the future requires a version of you that has cared for it. The future requires a version of you that is already standing there. You know, when your heart is eons ahead of your mind cries for what it used to laugh at. Your attention is the key to the door of the future. Where your attention goes suggests even what door you find. Whoever you are, you have to make a decision about on three levels. On a level of, let's say, body, mind, soul. If you don't believe in the soul, body, mind, heart. Okay? So body means what sort of physical standard, what sort of physicality does your species deserve? The most incredible. We require the most advanced technologies. The standard of the human species is the most advanced fathoming. If we can imagine the most advanced, we can do it. Why? Because we've considered a shape that can be accessed or recreated. Your body belongs to the pages of history. Your mind, your body is an individual level of life. Your mind is a semi-individual, semi-collective state of life. What your soul is a collective level of being. The soul is like one presence, knowing it's being present in many ways. The advancement of civilization is how attention intelligently moved itself. The human role in cosmic advancement is to become conscious that it is part of the advancement of the cosmos. So many things in life have a shape, they also have a position. The human existence also has a shape and a position, right? So we have a role. The role is to be what we are. Trees are being trees, birds are being birds, clouds are being clouds. It's just the human being, that is not satisfied. When your eyes have become the clear sky, have become the sky, you become a watcher of worlds. Right now, the consciousness that accompanies the human form is a consciousness that is receiving the training to experience itself as an entity. So you are tasked with taking care of this little part of the cosmos considered as your body. Now the mind is your access to a responsibility. And it's like, think of it this way: in higher dimensions you're responsible as the presence of your being. In lower dimensions you're responsible as it. So higher dimensions you are the causal presence of reality. In lower, let's say, dimensions, the effect of the presence, which is the persona. So right now you might think you are your personality, but how your personality is even authorized to be accessible in the instance is in some sense bound. It's kind of like what is big to us is a small part of a greater world. Imagine the cells in my red blood, like in my blood, suddenly like became conscious and built their own language, technology, all of this, and only realized that suddenly, like, yo, it's one body. We are in the presence of a cosmic intelligent activity. So the human role in cosmic advancement is that it could be the spark to becoming the cosmos itself. So to be a human being is like also having a ticket to being a cosmic being. It's like an access. So if you're in the human form, you have your soul has purchased a golden ticket. You're now manifest in a world. Now, how you engage this world, it tends to be the case that the fear of change makes us not want to change, so you become an easily conditioned entity. So the idea is either we don't know what the world is or we do know. If we don't know what the world is, nothing is certain. If we do know what the world is, then the search is finished. So the advancement, the human role in cosmic advancement is to realize how it is advancing the cosmos. And you have access to many options. Whoever you are, in your heart, find the advanced civilization. Find an advanced civilization you can walk towards. And as you walk towards that advanced civilization, you will find pilots and advanced communicators who will come and integrate the advanced inner realms of individuals. So what that means is, behind our eyes, we're all each walking towards the advanced civilization we can envision. But at some point in the mountain, as we get close to the summit, we come to the clarity of one true advanced civilization, you know, the myth that became an ultimate reality. The advancement of humanity is a very great endeavor. I consider my consciousness to have awakened to this realm merely because of the significance of its occurrence. This is a world where there is an importance to our manifestation here. It's playing a part in some sort of archive. I can't tell you if the archive is divine or extraterrestrial, but I could tell you that it is very clear to me that the human being physically, because it identifies as its visible parts, it's like on the tip of the iceberg. The iceberg thinks it's alone, but when it realizes a majority of its presence, it's like an iceberg lives above water and below water, but a majority of its life is below water, so it has a hidden life. So your conscious personality in this moment is the tip of the iceberg. Your unconscious is where the secrets of your design in the cosmos are in some sense hidden. You know, there was a time where I thought, okay, I'm a shape in a world of shapes. This shape must be based on other shapes. When I look at the other shapes, ultimately I get to one line of code of shape, of code that led to shape. So really, you are a creature in a world of form. But simultaneously, the awareness to the world of form renders a world beyond form. So it's another way of saying your body is how you can be a shape, your mind is how you can create a shape, your soul is how you were never a shape. The human role in cosmic advancement is to understand that the human is the cosmic event. That means, you know, there is a greatness beyond the thoughts of man. And advanced civilization is the future's birthright. Thank you.